So it's kind of funny. As I was recording a video here, literally was starting to record, a tweet just popped up that has provided the information that now I need to go ahead and just confirm. It appears that Oklahoma is in the works to finalize our new offensive coordinator. Two guys. Co-offensive coordinators be Seth Littrell and Joe-Jon Finley. So now Seth Littrell is currently an offensive analyst. Joe-Jon Finley is currently our tight end coach. So we're going to talk about them and what it looks like as far as the staff goes now that, it appears that no one's going to be leaving Oklahoma to head off to Starksville with Coach Lebby. Let's dive into that. But before we do that, welcome to Unfair Sports. I'm your host, Jay. Thank y'all for pulling up to the channel. We talk a lot of OU football here and college football in general. I've got a podcast episode dropping for you all first thing in the morning around just college football in general, because I promised you all this for 2 days and I have failed you. But I digress. Let's dive into the most important thing is the breaking news that Joe-Jon Finley and Seth Littrell will be our offensive coordinators here at Oklahoma. And let me explain to you why that makes sense and why we would do that. So there's a few things that come down the line. First and foremost, our coach, Brent Venables, is infamous for talking about loyalty. And his key things that he talks about is family, loyalty, and continuity. And the Oklahoma was toying with the idea of looking at outside coaches. There was a few that I was actually going to talk about in my original video, and I've decided to scrap. But there was a report that came out that Brennan Marion over at UNLV, their offensive coordinator, we had interest in him. Heard rumors of interest in Sean Lewis, who appears to be getting a head coaching job somewhere now. So there's no chance of him coming here, and a few others. Now, the thing about that is, it makes sense to go ahead and look far and wide for some of the best offensive coordinators out there. The only problem you run into is this is Oklahoma. Everybody's going to potentially want the job, and it's really hard to bring in someone that's going to change things, especially when you're going your first year into the SEC. We ain't got that kind of time. Now, I anticipate that we will have to change offensive coordinators in the near future, but let me explain to you all why this made so much sense to keep to bring Seth Littrell up and keep Joe-Jon Finley. First off, Seth Littrell. Now, Seth Littrell was the head coach over at North Texas, and when he was at North Texas, they saw some improvements on the offensive side of the ball. Now, not a lot, I'm going to be honest, mainly because it's North Texas. They're not getting the talent you would expect, but he's also one of the winningest coaches to ever coach that program. Tells you a lot there, right? But the bigger thing is that Littrell is from the Leach Tree. He was a running back coach at Tech. He also was an offensive coordinator, co-offensive coordinator with Bill Bedenbaugh over at Arizona when Mark Stoops was out there. He also spent some time at Indiana as an offensive coordinator, and he also spent some time in North Carolina as offensive coordinator. Under Larry Fedora, over at Indiana. I'll tell you this, that Indiana team, he saw improvements every year in all the teams that he went through. Shout out to my guy Stats by Popo. We ran through all the numbers on as far as how Littrell looked, and they were going from like 40s, 60s up into the teens. When he was at North Carolina, he went from like 42 to 7 on the offensive side his year there. He coached Gronkowski and Nick Foles, which you guys should both know. They're Super Bowl winning players, and they were coached by Littrell. Got guys drafted, right? So obviously those offenses were doing enough in order to get players put into the NFL. That is the thing that's important about what we will see out of Littrell coming here, being here as an analyst last year and moving up into the offensive coordinator position. Now, granted, you all have heard me talk about the Emmett Jones campaign, right? I'm in the campaign of him getting a raise, and I sense that he's going to be moving up and getting a title change as well. He won't be offensive coordinator, but I can see him moving into like an assistant head coaching position instead and remain the passing game coordinator, which is a stepping stone towards offensive coordinator. Now, Emmett doesn't have a lot of OC experience, and that's probably where they're going to start molding him, right? Littrell has done this, at 3 different places and looked good at all 3 places. Unfortunately, the coaching staffs changed, but his offenses did not. They got good. And a lot of people wonder, what does Littrell run offensively? Again, he's an air raid guy, and he also does a lot of power run. And so you're going to see a lot of outside zone concepts. You're going to see a lot of passing. Tempo, I don't know. I wonder if that's something they slow down on. But I anticipate that Littrell's going to give you that. Now, if you add his counterpart, Joe-Jon Finley, who spent his entire career, for the most part, underneath either Jeff Lebby or the system that Lebby was coaching under. He was at Baylor for a year. He spent time at Missouri under Josh Heupel. He spent time at Ole Miss. So in between his coaching careers, he's either under Josh Heupel, working with Jeff Lebby, under Josh Heupel because he was at Oklahoma when Heupel was here, or he was, back with Lebby. So he was going back and forth between the two. And Joe Jon is highly regarded. I've heard a few people have told me that, he's liked at the Switzer Center. He's liked as a coach. Players like him. And, we saw Devon Mitchell say that he was down like, 4 flats on a Cadillac. He was with Joe Jon staying here. He's definitely going to play for him. Now, I'm in a conundrum here because the thing I'm trying to figure out is this. Who's going to be the quarterback coach? Who's going to be the tight end coach? And how's all that going to work? So there were reports that came out that DeMarco Murray was potentially going to go to Starksville, that Lebby was wanting to get him and Bedenbaugh to join. And it looks like those reports have been refuted. It appears that those coaches will not be leaving. Nobody's going to be leaving from the actual position coaching spots, but we can see some analysts actually leave and go, which I totally get. And that makes sense because it's an opportunity for advancement. And so when I saw that DeMarco Murray was on that list, I wasn't mad. Like, some people are upset that they feel like they're being poached by Lebby. Nah. I think that the opportunity to move up makes sense. I mean, Lebby just stepped up to be a head coach in the SEC. And so if you got the opportunity to be an offensive coordinator in the SEC, in which, because Lebby's that offensive guy, you're most likely an OC and title only, but you may get some responsibilities to be able to help run the O, call some plays here or there, and get that experience needed in order to grow. I would not have been mad if DeMarco Murray decided to go there. Now, it would suck for us because he's a great running back coach. We've seen the players he's brought in, and whenever they're healthy and they're getting it going, we've seen them make some strides. Hell, look what he did with Eric Gray. And honestly, I questioned him, and Eric Gray shut me up last season. This year, health was not the best, and we were trying to rotate and figure it out. And in the end, I think we got our RB1 and RB1B, maybe an RB1C, between Tyree, Javante Barnes, as well as Sawchuk. Murray knows how to do it. And he's got some good recruits coming in, when Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum coming in, and Andy Bass coming in from the local squad here in Oklahoma City. I'm anticipating that he sticks around. He, remains, doing his thing as our running back coach, and he makes a decision down the line if he wants to really get into the OC world. And again, I expect Seth Littrell to last at most 3 years. So Sooner fans, get used to losing coaches. If we produce on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to lose defensive coaches. We continue to produce on the offensive side of the ball, which we have done since Bob Stoops was here in 1999. We're going to lose coaches, because I'll tell you this. Since Bob Stoops got here, George Stoyer over there at Sooner Scoop, shout out to him for tweeting this out. Since Bob Stoops got at Oklahoma, every offensive coordinator has left except for 2 to get a head coaching job. One of those was Lincoln Riley, who ended up getting promoted to head coach instead of leaving, so he didn't have to leave. And the other one was Josh Heupel, in which, granted, we looked at the track record at that point, we had to. But guess what? Heupel grew up. He went to Utah State. He went to Missouri. He went to UCF. And then now he's a head coach. He did great at UCF as a head coach, and now he's over at Tennessee cooking. So we start to see that Oklahoma produces head coaches at the offensive coordinator position pretty quickly, right? And everybody has gotten, P5 jobs working at Oklahoma. And so I have zero fear or anything around, what things will look like once we get, once we lose coaches. We're going to lose them. They're going to come in. People like the idea of coming to Oklahoma because it's attractive. And if you run similar offenses, guess what? You're going to get hired for head coaching jobs. Can't beat that, right? Right? That's the point. You get your guys in, you want them to be good enough to advance. You don't want guys to be mediocre at the coaching position, because if they're mediocre at the coaching position, then that means that nobody else wants them and you're starting to struggle too. You want people to covet your guys. And that's why Jeff Lebby's gone. He got the opportunity in the SEC and boom, it made sense. You bounce out. So That's what it looks like. Seth Littrell, Joe John Finley is going to be our offensive coordinators. Hop in the comments, let your boy know what's your thoughts. I know everybody wanted some sort of a splash hire, but I mean, who was going to be your splash hire? We were number 3, number 4 offense in the country, and these guys know the O. We can keep that continuity going, and Jackson Arnold is sold on it. If you made it this far, you like the content, the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Love for you to join this family of college football fans. Talk a lot of OU football, and we're still mixing up with everybody else from Colorado and college football in general, and we have a good time doing it. So, got some more videos coming down the line tonight, so keep your eyes open, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Peace.